A spring rain gently falls in the Sierra Nevada mountains of Northern California. Standing high upon a bluff, a deep canyon opens up below us, carving through the granite rock carpeted in green vegetation. On its floor, the North Fork of the Feather River twists and turns as it flows westward to meet Lake Oroville. Winding along its banks are two steel rails that, for the past 100 years, have served as a gateway to the west. A daily parade of trains make their way through this route, rich in history and beautiful scenery. Welcome to the Feather River Canyon. Seven Idea Productions traveled to the Feather River Canyon in the spring and summer of 2009 to capture trains in this amazing location from the depths of Dark Canyon to the High Trestle at Clio. We'll show you the famous bridges at Pulga. Witness trains snaking through the Serpentine Canyon. See stacked trains passing over themselves at Williams Loop. And crossing the famous Keddie Wye. The rainy season brings an increased risk of rock slides, and you'll witness the legendary Broncos in action, escorting trains through the canyon. At Quincy Junction, loads of lumber are interchanged with the UP via the Quincy Railroad. We will visit this remarkable short line leading to a nearby mill. At Portola, we will spend some time at the Western Pacific Railroad Museum, where the WP lives. You'll even see the UP 844 making a special appearance in the canyon. Sit back and relax as 7 Idea Productions presents Into the Feather River Canyon, Union Pacific's canyon subdivision. Union Pacific's route through the Feather River Canyon is located in Northeast California. This former Western Pacific line begins at Oroville, just 65 miles north of Sacramento, and continues through the northern Sierra Nevada mountains to Portola, 135 miles to the east. Part of UP's Roseville Division, this is officially known as the Canyon Sub. Midway through the canyon is Keddie, where the old Western Pacific High Line headed north to Bieber to connect with the Great Northern. This is the location of the famous Keddie Wye. We begin our tour of the Feather River Canyon at Oroville Yard, near milepost 202 on UP's Sacramento Sub. The Canyon Sub officially begins at Mitchell Avenue, at the east end of the yard. In the days of the Western Pacific, Oroville was a strategic point at the base of the Sierra Nevada mountains, where crews rested and locomotives were serviced. Today, the yard is mostly quiet, except for maintenance of way and local switching. Mainline trains pass right through town. A local bound for Roseville heads south on the Sacramento Sub behind a pair of GP40-2s. The lead engine was built in 1974 for the Denver and Rio Grande Western. A working Rio Grande unit on the UP still wearing original paint is extremely rare these days. Leaving Oroville, the local continues south, or Railroad West towards Keddie Junction. In 1962, Western Pacific relocated 23 miles of track between Oroville and Intake due to the building of the nearby Oroville Dam. The relocation started here, where the main line now crosses the Feather River on a curved bridge, as demonstrated by an eastbound UP double-stack train approaching at 45 miles per hour. An EMD SD70 Ace lends a hand to the mile-long train of containers on the 0.8% grade. Farther to the east, near milepost 220, a westbound Z train takes double stacks downgrade at Elsie along the west flank of Table Mountain. At James, UP 7722 West slows to a stop in preparation for a meet with a hot K train. Since it is too long for the 6,613-foot siding, the westbound stacker will hold the main. UP 5343 East appears in the distance. Although it seems to be traveling away from us, the train is about to negotiate a horseshoe curve that will bring it through Tunnel 4, then back into view. Stack trains make up a majority of traffic found in the Feather River Canyon. A constant parade of containers head to and from intermodal facilities in Oakland and Stockton, plus terminals in Roseville and Lathrop. This train is running one by one, a configuration common with eastbound stack trains on the Feather River route. One engine is placed on the point of the train, and a single remote-controlled unit brings up the rear. The combined 8,800 horsepower is sufficient for the nearly steady 1% grade found in the Feather River Canyon. Shortly after the remote-controlled engine or DPU disappears, the head end approaches as the eastbound takes the siding.
eyeball all on the siding.
The conductor of the 7722 gives the eastbound the roll-by and confirms that the rear of the train has cleared the west switch. From the Harriman Center in Omaha, Nebraska, UP Dispatcher 10 has aligned the switch for the main, and the 7722 West is cut loose, pulling 8,000 feet of double-stack containers for the West Coast. Like the eastbound K train, this train is also using distributed power. The configuration is 2x1, 2 units on the point, and 1 DPU cut in a dozen cars from the rear. The DPUs pass each other as the eastbound is again on the move. If you watch the right side of the screen, you will see the head end of the westbound appear just as the rear disappears from view. Moving down to track level, we catch an eastbound BNSF appearing out of Tunnel 4. BNSF Railway has trackage rights on UP's Canyon Sub, and this train will be traveling as far as Keddie, then up the former Western Pacific High Line on its way to Washington State. At the east end of James, a ballast train pulls out of the siding powered by an EMD SD70M and an SD90 43 Mac. The track leads through a deep cut and then over the lower deck of the West Side Bridge. The West Side Bridge crosses Lake Oroville with Highway 70 on the top and the railroad on the bottom deck. This is part of Western Pacific's 1962 relocation project when the Oroville Dam was built. In the late afternoon, train ACYOAX, an 8,000-foot-long Cheyenne to Oakland autorack/stack train, rolls through Tunnel 5 and across the bridge. Early morning finds the North Fork Bridge still in the shadows as an eastbound exits the 8,856-foot bore of Tunnel 8. This is intake and the eastern end of the relocation. 4 big diesels, 3 on the point and 1 rear DPU take a reefer block through the canyon. The next sighting trains encounter is Poe at milepost 235.6. Looking down upon the North Fork of the Feather River, we again catch the eastbound BNSF, passing the 6,859-foot siding. Track speed is restricted to 25 miles per hour in most of the Feather River Canyon. Between Poe and Pulga, trains pass through tunnels 9, 10, and 11. Peering deep into the lower Feather River Canyon, a westbound disappears through Tunnel 9. The solid granite walls of the canyon seem to swallow up the auto racks as they enter the east bore of the tunnel. The concrete structures near the west bore supported a bridge that once stood here. A stack train exits the bore of Tunnel 9 in the last minutes of daylight. Two SD-70Ms lug a train upgrade. At milepost 238.6, the railroad and Highway 70 both cross the Feather River. This location was popular for photographing the Western Pacific and was used for promotional photos of the California Zephyr. Today, a westbound stack train passes this spectacular location. A short hike from Pulga gives us a different perspective of the bridges. An eastbound manifest with 12 engines on the point crosses the steel bridge. Only the lead 3 units are powering the train. The rest are offline and being transported east. The ground shakes as the trio of EMD SD9043 Max takes this train to the 6,091-foot siding at Pulga. Just east of Pulga, the Feather River is smooth as glass thanks to the nearby dam at Cresta. The calm water mirrors an eastbound BNSF Barstow to Vancouver train in the morning sun. About 6 miles upstream, Highway 70 again crosses the Feather River to join the railroad on the north bank. This is milepost 248 on the Canyon Sub and the location of the Rock Creek Trestle. The long westbound stack train we first caught at James crosses the trestle as it glides down grade in the morning light. From the hill above the trestle, we look back at where we've been as a stacked train bound for points east works up grade. Another popular location for photographers is Tobin, where Highway 70 and the railroad both cross the Feather River. Unlike Pulga, trains take the high road this time. This train will soon meet the UP 7711 West, waiting on the main at Camp Rogers, a 6,670-foot siding. The extra-long train put on an impressive show at Williams Loop, which we will show you later. From the west end of Tobin Bridge, we watch as a huge stack train passes by. Between Camp Rogers and Belden stands the Rock Creek Dam, one of several dams owned by Pacific Gas and Electric, serving customers in northern and central California. PG&E has a total of 5 dams along the North Fork of the Feather River between Lake Almanor and Lake Oroville. Another BNSF trackage rights train approaches from the west. Clouds blot out the sun as the train disappears into Tunnel 16. Carved in granite just above Rock Creek Dam are tunnels 18, 19, and 20, known as the Honeymoon Tunnels. Early May 2009 brought a steady rain to the canyon. This meant an increased risk of rock slides. UP has called the Broncos out in a tradition dating back to the Western Pacific. Bronco is a term for a high rail truck escorting a train. It came from the Ford Broncos originally used by the WP. They run 2 miles ahead of each train, looking out for rocks, boulders, and washouts. This is Bronco Charlie, escorting an eastbound BNSF. Near Rich Bar, bare granite gleams in the sun above the thick canopy of the Plumas National Forest as eastbound reefers snake through the canyon. In the mid-19th century, the California Gold Rush was on, and the Feather River Canyon was a busy place. Gold was discovered here at Rich Bar in July of 1850, and this stretch of the Feather River saw a great deal of production. Today, Rich Bar provides a great setting for an eastbound BNSF. On a dark, rainy day, UP 7881 West leads a stack train out of Tunnel 25 at Rich Bar. Continuing east towards Virgilia, the railroad winds through Serpentine Canyon as it follows the twisting, turning Feather River. Watch as an eastbound stack train powered by two GE C44-9 ACs negotiates the many curves on its way up grade. A spring rain brings soft tones to the canyon. Bronco Alpha escorts a westbound manifest down the 1% grade, calling out the mileposts on the radio.
P4481 West by 268, over. Copy 268, Alpha by 266, over. Copy that, Alpha 266.
The gentle grade was the purpose for building the rail line in the Feather River Canyon. It was promised to be an easier route through the Sierra Nevada mountains than nearby Donner Pass. Although it lacked the heavy snows and 3% grade found on Donner, the Western Pacific Line had its own troubles. Winter storms that bring snow to Donner Pass carry heavy rain to the canyon. Due to the instability of the deep canyon walls, rock slides and washouts are a constant problem, significantly increasing the cost of maintenance and causing service disruptions. Here is the same location on a clear June morning. The canyon floor remains mostly in the shadows as an eastbound train nears. Milepost 270.4 puts us at Virgilia, the second longest siding on the canyon sub. An eastbound BNSF bound for Klamath Falls, Oregon, enters a 9,810-foot siding to meet the large vehicle train we first saw near James. The BNSF slows as the head end approaches the east switch. Soon, the westbound ACYOAX appears on the main. Between Paxton and Keddie, an eastbound crosses a bridge high up on the canyon wall. Set up near Tunnel 31, we look east towards Tunnel 32. The high humidity fogs our lens as a Bronco begins escorting a westbound manifest. Soon, a westbound manifest rolls out of Tunnel 32 and crosses a trestle in the warm, drenching rain. The east bore of Tunnel 32 opens to reveal the Spanish Creek Trestle, also known as the Keddie Wye. A westbound stack train led by UP 7711 crosses the famous railroading landmark. The right leg of the Y is the UP main line through the canyon. The left leg connected to Western Pacific's High Line, which met the Great Northern at Bieber. It's now part of BNSF Railway's Gateway Subdivision out of Klamath Falls, Oregon, the subject of another program available from 7 Idea Productions. The third leg of the Y exists in a tunnel, not visible from this location. The Keddie Wye is a significant place on the Feather River route. This is where track gangs from east and west met, and the last spike was driven on November 1st, 1909. Nearly 100 years later, on June 17, 2009, train KLTG1 appears out of Tunnel 32, taking double stacks east. In the late afternoon, another eastbound stack train crosses the Keddie Wye. From the top of Tunnel 32, a westbound manifest crosses the trestle. Just east of the Wye is the small community of Keddie, which serves as a base for Union Pacific's maintenance of way. From here, we can see the third leg of the Keddie Wye, which disappears into Tunnel 1, used occasionally by BNSF. Named for Arthur W. Keddie, a surveyor who conceived the idea of a railroad through the canyon, it was originally the site of a roundhouse, turntable, station, and service facility in the days of steam. This train is one of many eastbounds we witnessed running one by one. In a few miles, the AC-44 scene here will have mechanical problems, bringing the train to a crawl. Another eastbound stack train rolls by at milepost 288.2, also known as Quincy Junction. Since 1917, loads of lumber and forest products have been brought here from a mill in nearby Quincy to be interchanged with the WP, now the UP. The mill and railroad are currently owned by Sierra Pacific Industries. An EMD SW7, lettered QRR number 12, has just spotted today's load. 4 center beams of lumber which will be taken to Portola by a UP local. Two people make up the entire Quincy Railroad. Today, the engineer is Chris Daly, while Ben Grant, also a qualified engineer, bends iron for the 2¼ mile trip back to Quincy. Let's climb aboard and check out the Sierra Pacific Mill nearby. Chris eases the number 12 downgrade, which exceeds 4%. Coming out of the woods, the number 12 crosses Chandler Road as it enters the American Valley. The mill is seen in the distance as we approach Quincy. At the end of each day's run, number 12 heads back to the barn. 4 more center beams are spotted nearby and will soon be loaded with Sierra Pacific lumber. The Sierra Pacific Mill in Quincy is both a state-of-the-art sawmill and cogeneration plant. Bark, sawdust, and other wood waste is used to make electricity for the local area and to help power the mill. Loads of logs are trucked in and stored in log decks until they are needed. Sprinklers are used to keep the logs from drying out and cracking. Climbing back aboard the number 12, we head back to Quincy Junction. If you look carefully, you can see the UP trestle over Chandler Creek, just east of the junction. Back on the ground, we catch a westbound Z train over the Chandler Creek Trestle. Between Quincy Junction and Spring Garden lies one of the most amazing engineering feats on the Feather River route. Williams Loop. Between milepost 294 and 295, the main line makes a giant circle in an effort to maintain a steady 1% grade. Any train over a mile long will loop over itself, as UP 7785 East demonstrates. Here comes our friend, the UP 7711 West, with 8,000 feet of train in tow. Its exceptional length makes it the perfect candidate for filming at the loop. Although not as popular as Tehachapi, Williams Loop is a great place to photograph trains. Where else can you capture two run-bys of the same train without changing locations? After traversing Williams Loop, trains roll over Spring Garden, a 4,610-foot siding. 3 units power a stacked train east in the cool morning sunshine. CPF 297 marks the east switch at Spring Garden. With a high green promising a clear block ahead, UP 5317 West emerges from the 7,343-foot bore of Spring Garden Tunnel, just out of view. At Sloat, we find another green eye, this time for the UP 3948 West, with 8,000 feet of auto racks and stacks.
1088 to Brownie's OK. 1419, 1419, RFK. And 1088.
West of Camp Layman, we again pick up the eastbound reefer block, rolling along the middle fork of the Feather River. The diesels thunder up the canyon. Milepost 305.0 is Layman Camp Rd. The Portola local, powered by GP60 number 2052, rolls through the S-curve with loads from Quincy Junction and boxcars stored at Spring Garden. At milepost 310, we find the 4,860-foot siding of Blairsden. UP 5533 East heads for the crew change point at Portola, now just 10 miles away. From a rocky outcropping in the Plumas National Forest southwest of Portola, we again get a glimpse of the scenic middle fork of the Feather River and the famous Clio Trestle. Train KLTG1, a Lathrop to Global 1 Chicago train, crosses the 1,005-foot trestle at reduced speed due to mechanical problems with its rear unit. The lead GE is in run 8, but can only make 12 miles per hour instead of the maximum 25. The crew has been on duty for nearly 12 hours and is hoping to make it to Portola within their hours of service. This remote area is not the place to make a crew change, especially with an underpowered train. The ailing DPU crosses the trestle. The unit is only putting out 50% of its tractive effort, greatly affecting the train's performance. To the crew's relief, the train makes it to Portola. Here's a closer view of the Clio Trestle, standing 172 feet over Willow Creek. With 3 operating engines churning out a combined 13,000 horsepower, this eastbound stack train has no trouble maintaining track speed. Welcome to Portola, the east end of the Canyon subdivision and crew change point for the UP. This is also where you'll find the Western Pacific Railroad Museum. Sitting on 37 acres just off the main line, the museum has an amazing collection of over 30 locomotives and 100 cars. Operated by the Feather River Rail Society, the museum owns an impressive collection of Western Pacific equipment. The Society is dedicated to preserving the history of the Western Pacific, which was absorbed by UP in 1982. The Western Pacific Railroad Museum is open 7 days a week from April through November, offering visitors a chance to climb aboard vintage locomotives and sit in the engineer's seat. They even offer a Run a Locomotive program. Today, a family has booked the SP2873, an EMD GP9 wearing the so-called Kodachrome paint scheme of the Santa Fe merger that never materialized. The vintage diesel heads towards the balloon track for an hour of fun. For more information on the Western Pacific Railroad Museum, visit their website, www.wplives.org. Turning our attention to the main line, another eastbound stack train makes a quick crew change at Portola. The outbound crew climbs down from the UP 7663, wrapping up a successful trip over the legendary route of the Western Pacific through the Feather River Canyon. With a fresh crew on board, UP 7663 East heads for Winnemucca, the next leg of the journey to Chicago. At the time of this production, Union Pacific had embarked on an extensive tunnel notching project on nearby Donner Pass. The extra tunnel clearance would allow the UP to run double-stack trains like this one over Donner, a shorter route to the coast. The Feather River route then could be used for slower, heavier trains that currently require extra power on Donner's 3% ruling grade. Locally, rumors spread of UP closing the Feather River route east of Keddie, although that seems unlikely. For the past 100 years, the Feather River Canyon's beauty has been a magnet for rail fans, and its geography has proved a challenge to railroaders who work here. What lies in the future for this legendary route is anyone's guess. One thing's for sure, if you ever find yourself in Northern California, it's well worth a trip into the Feather River Canyon. On May 2, 2009, Union Pacific FEF3 Class Northern number 844 made an historical trip through the Feather River Canyon. Part of Union Pacific's Western Heritage Tour, the event celebrated Western Pacific's centennial. UP's Heritage Unit number 1983 honoring the Western Pacific was in the consist for the day's run to Portola. The special is seen waiting at Mitchell Avenue in Oroville. Soon the steam special gets underway. the 844 backs its train into position at Portola, while a crowd gathers to be part of this historic occasion. Here's to another 100 years of railroading into the Feather River Canyon. Thanks for watching.